Okay, good evening, everyone. Apparently, I hit the cut button instead of the transition button because I'm still learning what I'm doing. Hopefully, you can all hear me and the audio is not too loud. Someone just let me know, please. I'll take that all as a maybe. Okay, so it's been 3 weeks since our last update. We will be coming out. This is for version 3.2.0 of the Pathfinder 2nd Edition system. Uh, okay, how's that for a little bit louder? Better? I can turn it up a bit. I have no idea what all my settings are supposed to be like, but I am working on it. Nice. So we decided to extend this sprint by a week because we have a couple of books coming out in 2 weeks from now, and we wanted to sync up our releases. It's something that we can sort of try and do. What it also means is that this release is actually a pretty big one. 270 merges went into the system. That's a pretty crazy amount. So kudos to everyone working on the project. That is just a ridiculous amount of code. So tonight I'm going to try and show off some of the features that everyone's worked really hard on to try and get it in. I'm definitely not going to show off all 270 things, just some of the highlights, which feels really unfortunate because there are a lot more highlights. I'll give you a little idea of what's coming up in the next round of development as well once we've gone through this. You saw probably some of the things introduced in the last iteration. In this iteration, we have done a lot more. You have no idea. Uh, but yeah, so without any further ado, one of the big changes is exactly how you are going to end up building characters. That's a not insubstantial change. Um, so what I think we're going to do right now is let's pull up our good friend Amiri, our happy barbarian. So I'll just go down to the Iconics Compendium, and the Iconics are well out of date now. This is one of the things that we will be doing for the next iteration is we will be building up um, new Iconics. So let's start, drop Amiri on, and we can open up, and here's Amiri's sheet. So first thing you'll notice is Heritage now has one of the little plus buttons like the rest. That's right, Heritages are now drag and drop. Why don't we create new Amiri? It'll be like old Amiri, except better. So there we go, new Amiri. And for the sake of it, we'll even start off giving her the right icon. Now you might say, why did I do that? It's so I could cheat so that the token looks right when I put it down. So Amiri is a human. So let's go to our ancestry, go down, and grab human. We'll drop it in. Fills in the things the way you expect. So the common language is human, humanoid trait. But what about the heritage? Well, geez, heritage. Amiri, her heritage, we'll have to go all the way over here to check it out. Turns out she is a versatile heritage. We drop that in, and oh, geez, now we have to select a first level feat that she will get. Well, obviously that's going to be Die Hard, first level general feat for Amiri. So we can scroll down in our list, we find Die Hard, save. So the versatile heritage is in. We go over to our skills tab, and Die Hard is now present. Class, well, she's a barbarian. Let's drop it in. What type of barbarian is Amiri? So we can select them all. She is Giant Instinct. So we collect Giant Instinct, and there we go. It's all set up for us. And then we go to her background. Her background, Hunter, and this works pretty much the exact same way. Drag it on. We can go over to our skills. So you can see athletics, she's all trained up in. Martial, simple weapons, unarmed combat, light, medium, unarmored, the way you'd expect. But if we go over to the skills, here's our instinct, and you can see it's popped out Giant Instinct. We've got the background skill of Survey Wildlife as well. So the one that we're building, she is level 5, so we can put that in. We'll just quickly update 19, 16, 16, and 14. So she's chaotic neutral, so we'll go up here, select chaotic neutral, and there you go. She gains the chaotic trait, so that chaotic damage will know to target her. In addition, because of her background, she also knows Hallett, because that is her regional language. Otherwise, so far, everything else is looking the same, so it all seems to be working other than the AC is not up, but that's because she is presently not armored. So we'll go down to the skills. Right now, there's no big changes here. We can just set her to the skills that we expect. Oops. And you see as she's leveled up, simple weapons, unarmed, martial, all go the way they should. This is an older version of Amiri. It does not have that because it is that old. But any relatively recently built one will have everything up to date. So we go to our skills. Everything's a little bit better organized here, so we don't have this instinct anymore. Rage as a class feature automatically comes in. Everything stacks up. Okay, so natural ambition. Let's throw that in. Oh, wait, she gets a first level class feat? Well, look, here's all the ones you possibly can get. So we know she gets Raging Intimidation. And then she gets Natural Skill. So again, skills are not yet done. All right, we can drag that in. But with Natural Skill, you'd have to go and still manually do that. It's something we're looking at for the future to do skills. We're not quite there yet. So class feats, we can add in Sudden Charge, No Escape, and Raging Athlete. Next we go to skill feats, so Survival, Assurance Athletics, Rapid Mantle. So let's just drag in the normal Assurance, and this will now ask us to select a skill. We'll go through, select Athletics, save, and now we have Assurance that way. So you could drag in the old feat, but I have a feeling that at some point those might go away on us. Incredible Initiative we throw in. And we already have Raging Intimidation where it should be better stacked up. And she also has Intimidating Glare, and I can't remember why. I think it might be a Pathfinder Society thing. Oh, there's no selection windows appearing on the stream. That's kind of weird. So there are pop-ups for all of these things. I guess that's me not knowing how to do the streaming part of it. Or it's popping out. So I can promise that there is something that pops up for you to select. The pop-ups. Yeah, it's probably only catching the native windows. So I should probably just screen capture this instead. I will work on that for the next stream because I still don't really know what I'm doing. But I can promise all of the things that you don't see, you get button selectors that come up on the screen. I have, oh, I know what I can do. Let's see if I do it this way. This is going to be a really strange way to do it. If I drop in Natural Ambition, let's see if this works. So I will open up a journal note. And why don't I paste it in there? So when I drop it in, so you see the ancestry feed over here is empty. I drag it in. It says select a first level class feat. So these are the ones that she can get. Now, what you need to understand about this is it'll go through, it'll find the ones that you don't have, kick them out. Otherwise, if you want to homebrew something, you can just drag a different homebrew item in and use it in place. So it doesn't stop you from doing anything, but it'll help you sort things out. So I drag it in, I select Raging Intimidation, and voila, it pops up just like that. You saw that pop up okay. Well, I don't know what's going on then. So there we go. We have all of the stuff in. With the handedness and weapons, nothing that she has will have changed a whole lot. I mean, you can still get the bastard sword, and then we go in, we can change the size to make it large, and then we can add the +1, we can add the striking. It automatically changes just like before. We add the hide armor. Hide armor normally gives +3, but with the dex cap, it will only give +2. So if we look at the modifiers, right now, +3 dex, +7 trained. You look at the hide armor itself, it has the dex modifier of 2. So as soon as you equip it, the AC goes to 22 because you only get +2 from the dex cap, and then the +3 from the hide armor. The armor price does not yet auto-calculate. It's not something that we've gone to try and do quite yet. On the roadmap some point. Otherwise, there we go. That's sort of all the important points, I think, of new Amiri being built. So there's her strikes, her actions. Most of the rest is all the same. It's an iconic, so before I added a bunch of the interesting ones for people to learn. Javelin's not on. So yeah, that's kind of some of the cool stuff that we can do now. Like I said, all of these things will need to get rebuilt. But it's all sort of all built in for us. And I think I should be able to make her, oh, I would have to drag new Amiri out. So there she is. So there I can make her rage. And you'll see the -1 to AC from rage is applied. And I think we had to go and modify this for Pathfinder Society rules because it doesn't quite make sense, and so that's not up to date. Yeah, if you take the rage effect off, oh, and I'm not covering it, you see negative rage down. So rage effect on, rage effect off. And of course, well, if she had hit points, well, we can give her hit points. Get the +83, big numbers for big change. She only gets hit for 2, little numbers for little change. And so, yeah, that is our sort of new Amiri. Next up, one of the cool things, let's say we've got Amiri over here, and for the sake of it, we'll get rid of old Amiri. You know what? Let's give her a bow. Let's give her a long bow. Let's give her a short bow. Let's give her a bunch of arrows because it's no fun if you don't have any arrows. And we're not tracking yet, so I'm just going to equip them both to make life easy. We can set our arrows for ammunition. And let's find her a target. And as we know, barbarians love to shoot wizards. Let's see if I can find somewhere on the map nice and open for us. Nice long hallway. So here we have Amiri paste. Oh, good, 35 feet away from Ezrin. So if Amiri takes the longbow, fires a shot, natural 20. Let's just kill Ezrin. So yeah, dexterity +3, expert +9, same as with the short bow. Natural 1 on the second one. So obviously she likes using the longbow a lot better. But as we know, longbows don't work great if you're up close, right? So we come up nice and close, let's fire off the longbow. Oh, you're within 30 feet? Look at that, you take a volley penalty. How neat is that? But let's fire off with the short bow. No volley problems with that one. But Ezrin's a wizard. Let's have him fly up 30 feet. Now, is the system smart enough to know that if she fires with a longbow and he's 30 feet high and a little bit away that it'll not have a volley penalty? Looks like it is. we're going to work on range increments. That's one of the things that we're going to work on for the next iteration. So hopefully it'll figure out range increments for you and apply the penalties appropriately. It's a lot of work to do. It certainly wasn't simple. It was one of the cool features that Shark sort of added in. But we all know that sometimes you can get rid of those volley penalties by taking feats, like point blank shot. Instead of giving her the feat, I can probably just give her the stance. So she's not a fighter, but let's say she is in Pathfinder Society and they make it up anyways. Okay, so we will apply point blank shot to new Amiri, and let's have her fire with her longbow. Huh, neat. No volley penalty. What if we fire with the short bow? Mm-hmm. Oh wait, it's on damage rolls. Sorry. That's right, we have to fire the damage. There we go. Bonus damage from point blank shot. Bonus damage from point blank shot. So yeah, that's all now built into the system. Kind of cool things. But let's say Amiri, you know what? She doesn't want the bastard sword anymore. Doesn't want the longbow. Doesn't want the short bow. Instead, she wants some hand wraps. So we can make them +1 striking because level 5 character obviously has +1 striking hand wraps. So not invested yet. So the normal unarmed attack, natural 20, but no bonuses there. Invest them though. The unarmed attacks, hand wraps and mighty blows. Extra damage, awesome. Now let's say Amiri picked up a cool little spell, like say Dragon Claws. Well, I guess she would need a Dragon Instinct for that one. I have no idea if this will work with the Barbarian, but let's give it a shot. This is what happens when I don't practice before the stream. So Dragon Instinct, we can select our instinct. Obviously fire, we're going to go with Red Dragon Instinct here. And I believe that Dragon Claws should pick up on that, I hope. We'll find out. Oh no, Dragon Claws picks up on the bloodline, so we need a sorcerer. Well, that's okay. Maybe Amiri can be a sorcerer. Select a bloodline. Well, we'll still go with Draconic Bloodline. And make a selection. Obviously, we'll want Red Dragon. So we put that in. So Bloodline, Draconic, Red Dragon. So Dragon Claw spell. Here it is. Let's put that effect on Amiri. Ah, so she gets her Dragon Claw strike. Obviously, she needs to be next. And if I did everything right, and I'm not guaranteeing I did, natural 1 on the strike. Well, let's just say that that hits Ezrin anyways. But there we go. We now roll Dragon Claws. You'll see the hand wraps of Mighty Blows applies. The Dragon Claws applies. Strength modifier applies. And that's a pretty decent slash. On the Dragon Claw, you'll also see the hand wraps affected as an unarmed attack. So that's something that's new. I know it was frustrating for a lot of people that we didn't take care of that before. But I think that's a pretty awesome thing to go. Yeah, I should say the damage type is automatically determined by the type of Dragon Instinct that you take. So because I did take that, I didn't do anything special. I can still do this. I can drag a different sorcerer class on, and now I have to make the selections again. So it'll still be a draconic sorcerer, but this time, you know what? Oh, let's do the underworld dragon. So now when she makes the damage, is underworld? I don't know. Did I just pick one that's the exact same? Also fire. Still fire. Great. So that was an awful demo. Let's try demo round 2. I should have just picked umbral. I think umbral's not the same. There we go. Negative damage. And you'll also see things like the resistance that you get from the bloodline. It's in, and it's affected based on level. So as Amiri levels up, I think this levels up too. No, that's just a constant one. But things with at level do work. So that's kind of a fun, neat change that we've got going. Speaking of changes, I can get rid of this image. Oh, I have to edit it. So the way that we were doing checks before, you had to go into HTML mode and put in code that looked a little bit weird. I'll just pull up the... So let's say you wanted to make someone do, I don't know, a fortitude save. So you'd go into here, put in the source code for that, and that creates a button for a basic fortitude save. Kind of annoying. You have to come in all the way. No more. So now we have a whole new way of doing this. Let's see if I can remember it off the top of my head. So now we have @check. And then we can go type fortitude. You'd think that I was doing this all day. Someone in data entry, did you put in one of the traits for it? I literally did 40 of these today. Ah. Whoops, don't want that. Right. And then I think the rest are probably optional parameters. You can put in the traits. You can put whether it's a basic save or not. Otherwise, it'll pull it off of whatever you need it to. And so being able to type it in like that, you will be able to create check buttons. Yeah. Oh. And if you put it with a capital C, it works even better to create the button. So now it's easy for everyone to make all of these without having to go into the HTML code. We'll be putting up after the stream and once we do the release, all the new stuff into both the style guide and the, well, I guess it's not the rule elements, but in the style guide. This covers all checks. So if you need to make a thievery check, you can do that. For my game today, it was Pathfinder Society scenario 1-20. I had to have 40 checks ready. And so I just went through, made all of those check blocks. It was just copy and paste. And then they'd come up to the hazard. And I was just like, okay, I click that up. It pops it into there. And then if you want them to roll it open, they just roll it normally. So Amiri rolls, great fortitude. If I want it to be private, hold down control, same thing. Doesn't know that she critically failed. It's really that easy now. It's one of the big changes. So that's for the built-in stuff. We've also updated the animal companions to work with this. So let's create a new animal companion. So here we have our animal companion. And we go over and we just start building it. So ancestries and class. Well, the ancestry is just going to be animal companion. The class, if I was Amiri, Bloodwolf sounds good. But they're all in here and they've all been updated. We can level them up absolutely normally. let's say we have mature animal companion, that'll upgrade automatically, or savage animal companion. As we get higher, it'll do all of the things that we want. I'll just wait for Tikale to tell me to add more things. Oh yeah, the size upgrades accordingly too. So here we go, large size. Add a specialization. Well, if they're going to hang around with Amiri, they'll probably be a bully. Oh, there we go. That's kind of awesome. Look at how much better it got. Now edit again. There we go. Double bully. Again. And then he asked me to take a look and show off eidolons as well, because that was a big change. Yeah, this is all in the Animal Companion module. So details of the primary strike. Fatal D10. And construct eidolon. There we go. Obviously a warrior. And it's a construct, so I think it has construct breakthrough if I remember right. We can make it an increased size, because I know what that one does. I think sensory array. There we go, add tremor sense, add low light vision. And did I turn perfect vision on? Oh, I don't have it on this computer. Oh well, I guess I'm not showing that off. So Perfect Vision, thanks to the Perfect Vision author, has also helped us out a ton. And rather than us implementing it, Fetchling Vision in the Perfect Vision module now supports PF2e. So your dark vision, if you are a fetchling, will be in color. One of the things that we're thinking about trying to work on is for people with low light vision, rather than making it look like bright light, that's not quite right according to the rules. It just doesn't create the difficulty of hitting something. So we think we might try and play around a little bit with saturation. So for a fetchling, we'll pump the saturation up. For people with normal vision, in dim light, the saturation will go down. And then for people who have dark vision, the saturation will be a little bit off, or low light vision, the saturation in that band will be a little bit off, so you know that you're shooting into that area, and then beyond it should cut off to black and white. So it's something to play around with. I'm not promising that anytime soon. It is one of the things that we are looking at. Oh, level up the eidolon. Oh, right. So we can get our boosts. We'll do a wisdom boost and a dex boost and a charisma boost and a constitution boost. And then at 10th level, dex, int, strength, wisdom, because I went up to 2 boosts. And so it'll pump it all up. Yeah, so Jams asked a good question, and that's why we are trying to change it and play around, because a fetchling or anybody should know what type of vision they're in. And right now, if you have low light vision, all dim light looks like bright light, and that's not right. So instead, what we want to do is change the saturation, so you'll be able to visibly tell areas of dim light and areas of darkness. And so there will be that differentiation, because right now, you're right, it is really, really hard to determine that. And that's something that we would like to change, because thanks to the latest updates to Foundry and the latest updates to Perfect Vision, we have that capability, or at least we think we do. I think there's a lot of cool stuff that'll be coming with version 10 as well that will help a lot of with a lot of this stuff. We don't know, because that's still not done. I think votes have not yet closed. I think it's end of the month. So if you are a Patreon, hop on. if I want to plug one personally, I voted for the sort of enhanced aura effects because that's one the Pathfinder system could really use. Once that's built into core, we can probably use that to automate a couple of things like auras that come off of bards or inspiring martial stance. I think that is all of the big stuff that I wanted to show off in this stream. So hopefully you agree it was worth watching, that there's a lot of cool stuff that we've managed to pack into 3 weeks of work. And realistically, that's just sort of the tip of the iceberg. Like I said, 270 merges. It's rather phenomenal the amount of code and information that's gone in. Oh, fast healing. Um, fast healing is definitely in. It is no longer requiring the persistent damage module. So fast healing is now part of the core system. I would demo that, but then I'd have to remember how to demo that. I don't know, do we have one built in? Oh, here we are. Fast healing. So fast healing 5. So let's get Amiri damage down to 10 points. That sucks. Put her in combat with Ezrin. And now if I do this right, so here you see her at 10 hit points. So there you go. She received healing at the start of the turn, so you can add that onto her character. Next round. Oh, another 5. Oh, I have Ezrin still targeted. Ezrin's already at full health. So there you go. If you do have the healing, if you try and apply healing, because I had them both selected, now if you're at full health and you get healed, it will let you know that you are already at full health for like a group healing. So here I can damage him for 2. We'll say that they both get healed. So healed for 5, healed for 2. Again, try and heal. Ezrin's at full health, Amiri is not. So what are some of our plans for the next iteration of what we're doing? So we've started talking about it. Lots of things that we'd like to work on. So one of the things I'm pretty sure we'll make into the next round is working with the range increments and applying range penalties automatically so that you don't have to. We're looking at some improvements to a bunch of the different character sheets to try and make things a little bit easier to see. You'll notice that there's a lot of effects that are in. There's some that aren't. So the choices for things like spells right now, what was one of the key strike we were talking about? So key strike, you can choose one of 4 types of damages. You choose that when you cast a spell, and right now we have 4 different spell effects. With the new system, we'll be able to collapse that down. So you drive key strike onto your player, and it'll pop up one of those things and says, well, do you want to do force damage? Do you want to do positive damage? Do you want to do negative damage? Or do you want to do whatever the other damage from key strike is? So that's what we're looking at in the next one. We did a big step on cleaning up bestiary 1 with this this one. So a shout out to Abaddon, who did a lot of work, and definitely to Spartan, who did an insane amount of reviewing. We threw hundreds of monsters at him, and he got through all of them. So a lot of bestiary 1, which was admittedly in our worst shape, is looking a lot better. I think the tracker on that one is out of the 280 monsters or so that are in bestiary 1. There's about 110 left that we need to clean up. The goal is to try and get most of that done, but to get those edited and reviewed, because it's such old data, does take a lot of time. Other things that we're sort of looking into, lures right now are still a little bit of a pain. We'd like to standardize them, make them into normal items. It'll work a lot better with the checks, because right now, if you put down either Pathfinder or Pathfinder Society or Pathfinder lore or Pathfinder Society lore, that means you need 4 buttons to check for that specific lore. So if we can generate lores instead as an object, then when you drag on your background, you can select the particular lore skill. I mean, if we take someone like New Amiri here, and let's give her general training, you can see all the first level general feats are not just the general feats, but also all the skill feats. So you still do have to know what you want to put on, but for something like virtuosic performer, we have acting, comedy, dance, keyboard, all these things. But with our choice set and our granting rule elements, we'll be able to get rid of most of those. Just have one, and it'll have the right tags attached to it to make it correct for your character instead. Um, So out of all the classes, I will mention that right now there are two that aren't done. Clerics aren't done and champions aren't done, and there's a good reason. In the next iteration, one of the things we want to get in is deities as items. So now we've got the heritages in. Deities you see, you still type in. So they're the next thing to go. Once we have that, then we'll do the cleric and champion classes because the deity really matters for a lot of those things. For weapon proficiency, for things like deadly simplicity, all of those are going to be able to be automated once we turn deities from journal entries into items. So that's our next big step, and that's why if you rebuild clerics or champions right now, they won't have some of these class features. You'll still have to do it a little bit the old way. But seeing as we did the rest of the classes for this round, I think it would be pretty good. Someone asked, how would the lore changes change with custom lores? You would add a lore and it would create an item instead of it just being a line. So mechanically, it would totally work fine. It would generate the slug on its own. You'd probably type it in and we'll have some standard format for it to work with the check buttons. But nothing else would change other than right now, if you go and add a lore, it is really just a line with a role and a level of training. And so that's something that we would like to change because um, it's not great. Automation of assurance. Um, Nothing particularly with technical. I mean, assurance will still work. It's just we haven't got to the point that we've coded it in. It's probably on the roadmap. Um, so yeah, for lures you don't need to worry about. What else is on the roadmap that we discussed potentially? None of these are promises. Uh, we will have the new AP book in for release. That's what we're syncing up with, assuming that one of the people doing data entry gets it, of course, if everything's late the way that things sort of have been. I will let you know that if you haven't been paying attention, book 6 of the Strength of Thousands path is delayed. It won't be releasing this month. We get the first book of Frozen Flame this month. Uh, Other than that, those are the big ones that I'm sort of okay with announcing now because they may probably get done. Otherwise, that's all I have to present for today. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to throw them into the chat. I'll stick around for a couple minutes and try and answer them for you. Oh, right, Elite and Weak. I didn't show that off. Um, that's a that's another cool one. So I need to get an NPC with one of the checks. Let's go to one of the bestiaries. Who has a bunch of roles? I think I was using them today. I think they have skills in here that have, there we go. So Terrifying Croak. So this is one of the reasons that we changed everything. So here you see it's a DC 19 will save. I pop it into the chat, DC 19 will save. So before when we made things elite, it would bump up the AC, it would bump up the hit points, all the saves, but it wouldn't work for all of the saves within items. Well, good news, it does now, because look at that, DC 21 will save. And I pop it in chat, DC 21, because he's elite. I make him weak, DC goes down to 17. So now anything that you've coded in properly into feats inside of an NPC will respect the elite and weak buttons. That's a pretty awesome one. That was one that's been missing, and it's been sort of a pain for anybody, especially if you GM in Pathfinder Society. That being said, Pathfinder Society doesn't follow all the rules. So here you see I made this Swamp Seer Elite. Now, if you're going to play 120, plug your ears for a second. But if you go into the Season 1, you'll find that, hey, look, there is an Elite Boggard Swamp Seer. Because it does non-standard things. Some of the items in here for the saves are not normal. They follow different rules, and because it's Pathfinder Society, we had to create a variant. So here you see it's the Elite Boggard Swamp Seer, but only for PFS 124, and the one that carries an animal staff, because there's also a variant that doesn't carry it. And again, Pathfinder Society, so we try and do it as best as we can. Seems a little bit excessive, but we want to support legal play as much as we can. Is rebuilding of PCs needed for many of the new features? Yes, if you want all the latest and greatest, I would highly recommend rebuilding. Personally, all the ones that I play, I'm going to be rebuilding my characters, partly because we now have this cool new stacking ability with all the feats. It's not quite perfect, but we're working on it. Uh, It'll get everything organized and correct. In addition, any of the new rule elements will get on. Plus, as you level up, uh, with certain classes, I want to say alchemists do this. At certain levels, you get to certain extra choices. So it's the same thing. As you level up, if you hit a new level and you get a choice, it will pop up for you when you do the level up to input whatever that choice is for that particular level. I want to say Monk's Path to Perfection. Those are ones. It'll search through to make sure that you don't have the second or third path of perfection. So when you pick your boost, you can't boost the same one. Something like strikes on your hotbar. You can already put strikes on your hotbar. Just you go drag this strike to the hotbar. There you go. Strike, damage, crit. Why doesn't it work on your Foundry? I have no idea. Just make sure that you're dragging from the label, not from the icon. Actually, the icon probably works too. Yeah, I don't know. It works for me. Mine's not, unless you've got something weird on it. Yeah. So there is a little bit of a cheat. You can set the character to level 0 and then go back to the level you're at. It'll prompt you for all of the changes that you've put in. So uh, so it'll still want you once you level up to select your bloodline, because it's the sorcerer again. It's not real Amiri. We'll go back to Red Dragon, and it will ask you. The one thing that I'll say is some of these they'll pop out into. Well, I've got a lot in the bonus feats now, but they'll pop out of place if you don't do it quite correctly. So if I go down to level 0, you'll see that things like natural ambition drop down. It will still keep its sub item. But everything will go out of place other than the background skill. Uh, Again, you can make all of your choices again. Oh, I wonder if this will work. Let's do Canny Acumen. So here we get Canny Acumen. Obviously, she'll train in Reflex. That goes up to Expert. I could also take Canny Acumen a second time. Going to Reflex again would be silly, so I will go to Perception. So you can add it in, and it'll know. It'll append it with Reflex or append it with Perception. Will we ever get an option to replace all items on a character, basically a migrate character option? It already exists if you're running on the dev branch for helping us to update things. It's not ready to go prime time, but on all items, you'll get a little bit of, if you're running in dev mode, there is going to be a little sort of refresh button, and it has to be built and have a slug that links back to one of the compendia, but you'll be able to do that. Um, when will it come out to release? I don't know if ever, but it already exists. With the range increment stuff, any thoughts on concealed hidden check automation? Maybe. I'm not promising anything at this point in time. It's probably a little bit premature. A lot of these seem like they're easy to do. They're actually computationally very hard. Um, so I'm not going to commit to anything like that. I think the cover macro. Um, Cover is nice. You only need one now, and you can select the level of cover. So Amiri's prone, so she'll just get lesser cover because she's hiding on the ground. But yeah, so now you don't have to have multiple cover effects. Is the code in release? Well, I think it's just hidden behind a dev flag. A macro could probably do it. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that it's something that we'll put in right away. The answer is maybe. But again, if your material is decently old, like we can't use it on the creatures from Bestiary 1 because their items don't have the slugs linking back. So if it's a relatively recent build, it should probably work, but I'm not going to promise that it does work. Um, Yeah, Shark makes a good point. So we could do all of these things, but the problem is we can't. There are so many exceptions to the rule that, again, we want to get things right. Um, the things that we put in are the ones that we know right now. If you do it this way, it's reliable. If we start putting things in and it's only half finished, then someone's going to roll, going to think it's gospel, and now we're negatively affecting the game because you're not playing it. All those feats that you've picked up aren't as useful. We don't want to do that to you. Okay, so 1 or 2 minutes. If anyone has any other questions, please feel free. Otherwise, I think I'll wrap up the stream for the night. What's currently the best way to accomplish exploration, action, activity tracking? There is a module that handles that. Will this be on YouTube? Yes. When will the release be out? Um, Relatively soon. I didn't run into any huge problems, so I think we'll probably be okay. The devs will take one last look, but one thing I do want to point out is anyone who tracks the GitLab, we have dropped down to 14 open merge requests, and a couple of them have the delay merge until we do the hot fixes because they're just ready for the next iteration. At one point, we were over 100 open merge requests, which was insane. A lot of work done with our new structure, with all the new development leads. Absolutely phenomenal job. Data entry, oh my god, just going through all of the entries. We also are now down below 180 tickets. When we started this, I think we were at about 250 or 260. There was definitely some ticket cleanup, but a lot of things that we closed on this round. Any chance to make the skill actions more accessible, adding the character sheet or something? There are modules that do that. You can also drag the actions in for the ones that you want. It's a longer term project to figure out the best way to do that. Um, we really need to look at some UI and UX sort of things to figure out how to best do all of these things. 'Cause throwing it all in the sheet's not a great idea. It really clouds up the sheet. I mean, if you look at old Amiri, we'll pull her up and see how many actions. And this is only the ones that I thought that someone brand new to the system want. This doesn't cover all of them or everything that she can do. Iconics. And just look at all of the ones on that sheet. It's a lot. Like someone looking at that, it's a page worth. And to add more and more and more, oh, she's trained in this. Oh, she's trained in this. We get all of these things. I mean, think of a rogue. Hey, you are trained in literally everything. Here's the 800 actions you can do. And there's all action macros for it. So the ones that you commonly use, I suggest putting those on your hotbar. So, if we want to get her to intimidate, uh, so we have like coerce or demoralize. Demoralize is a big one. So you can just have that on. You can always target Ezrin. Roll your demoralize check. Oh, apparently Ezrin's demoralizing himself. We'll try. Ezrin's no good at demoralizing himself. Amiri's probably a little bit better. She succeeds, so Ezrin becomes frightened one. So you can do that for the ones that you use commonly, and that's what I suggest. It's a great use of the macro bar. As for building them all in, I mean, they're all in the system. All the effects are even in the system pretty much. The action macros are pretty well fleshed out. Making it a little bit easier at some point, we will likely try, but if anybody knows a great UX UI designer who would like to work for free and help us out and really make these sheets take them to the next level, feel free to drop me a line in Discord. We'd love your free labor. Um, Any news about resistances being automated? Again, resistances, immunities, weaknesses, we need to work on the roll code. This is a much bigger problem than you probably understand. You can see that we're typing all of our damage. We've got a lot more information going into those damage rolls, which is the first step. We've got most of it all asynchronous, which is another big step. It's coming along. I'm not going to promise a date because it is a very, very large problem. It's something that we want to get right. As a VTT, we'd rather not do anything. The rule elements exist, so we can start coding it in. A lot of things that grant resistances, you'll see it pop up on your sheet. There's no effect yet, and we want to keep it that way until we can realistically assure that 99 out of 100 times we get this automation correct. And it's not simple because Paizo's rules are not simple. There's exceptions to exceptions when it comes to resistances. So it makes it really, really hard. It's something we definitely want, but we don't want to, come do one of these streams, put out a video, show it off, and then publish it out on YouTube, and everyone looks at it and says, "Hey, you're doing it wrong," because that would just be embarrassing, frankly. So yeah, the idea is we'd love that automation in when we can get it right, and until we can get it right 99 out of 100 times, we're just not ready for it. Want, but hopefully soon, not quite yet. Is there an ETA on inline spell class DC buttons? I think that is, I mean, inline spells, you just drag and drop the spells. If you mean for updating DCs, some of the legwork is in. I don't know if we're pulling class DCs yet. I think that we might be. I'd have to double check. It's not much harder. One of the devs, feel free to correct me if it's already in. Major Answer, great. Love to hear that you bought Foundry because of the system. Please go tell Paizo that you did that. Yeah, I don't think it did quite yet. Using class DC or spell DC as a DC on check. It's close. I don't know that we're quite there yet. Just confirming, spell damage not able to change by rule elements, right? No, we need to still work more on the spells. It's definitely a weakness right now. Yeah, it was working on at least one dev branch. It's one of those things that, again, it's hard to get really, really right, and it's something that annoys me because all of those bonuses. Like, I'm playing a bard in one of my campaigns, and I want those +1s. Damn it! Drag and drop a feat inside another feat. Um, it's still going to be rule elements. That's why we have the choice set. But for unless you're homebrewing stuff, that all works now. All the feats should be in, and if you find a feat that should have another feat contained within, um, let us know. Flag it, because you should see, like, natural ambition. You drag it on and you select raging intimidation, and it goes to where it's supposed to go. Not all the. I don't know. I don't think we finished off all the dedications, did we? We can try. Where is Bastion dedication? Yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, it gets reactive shield. So there you've got the reactive shield feat built in, and you should find reactive shield on your reactions now automatically. Like I said, champion not done, cleric not done. There's probably some stuff, especially with dedications, we need to catch up on. It's not all perfect, but it's yeah, 90% of it should be done. That's a good way to put it. Spells that grant things, not quite ready yet. There's lots of choice sets and rule things that we want to do. We're just not quite finished. Okay, if that, I don't know that I see any more information. I will say thank you to all of you for coming out. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream, found it informative. Great to have you all here. If you have any questions, we are on the Discord. Release should hopefully be out relatively shortly, maybe sometime tonight, maybe tomorrow. I'm making no promises because I mean, seriously, 270 merges. I think that a bunch of our coders deserve a break and a drink tonight. I feel like hopefully I presented most of all of the cool stuff that they're in. There might be some features I forgot about that you'll all have a chance to see or discover, because I guarantee there is some cool stuff in there that I've missed. And yeah, look for us in about 2 weeks. Hopefully more cool things and announcements to come. Uh, With that, I wish you all a pleasant evening, happy gaming, happy rebuilding all of your characters. For those of you who use the character importers for Hero Vault or Path Builder, I'm going to, after this stream, go and apologize to Slate because I think we're going to break pretty much all of them. So you might want to build manually for the near future, but as you've seen, that's sort of working. I feel like there's 4-ish major things, and even though we never wanted to be a character mancer, it looks like we're kind of all there. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Again, happy weekend and happy gaming.